Greetings, I'm Jed Schlackman. I work as a holistic counselor, also a hypnotherapist and energy healer. For this video, I'm speaking about the topic of holistic healthcare and looking beyond just chemistry in terms of treatment and healing interventions. The human body is in a sense a construct being generated moment to moment by fields of energy, consciousness, and information. There are many people who are focused on discussing the role of things like diet and lifestyle on physical health, but many of them neglect to consider or recognize the context and the superseding role of these unseen and not readily measured fields of consciousness and energy. As an example, there are some people who consume huge quantities of processed junk foods and they remain slender and slim, while there are some people who consume only small quantities of food and only eat natural whole foods who sustain excess weight and are labeled as obese. Excess weight is often a subconscious protective mechanism designed to address a stress such as sexual or emotional abuse or physical or emotional neglect or starvation or deprivation. The subconscious factors are determining how the body interacts with the physical variables and creates the observed physical patterns of functioning and states of health or illness. This is the understanding guiding a truly holistic approach to healthcare. Multiple levels and dimensions need to be considered to understand what is causing or creating any perceived symptoms or phenomena. And for long-term well-being and sustainable improvement, it is usually vital to address the subconscious, non-physical layers and not only just to manipulate chemistry on the physical level. Psychology, physics, and metaphysics have at least as much to do with health as chemical variables. So this is the understanding that's guiding a lot of mind-body medicine, a lot of energy healing, where we realize that what's happening physically depends on energy flow, on electromagnetic fields, electrical current as it runs through the body and fuels the cells. It depends on the information that's being fed into our body. So if we think about how our body functions, every cell, every tissue, and every organ in our body has some field of information that's guiding it, that's telling it its role, its function, what it's needed to do to support the health and integrity of the organism. Our conscious mind isn't working at that level. It's not micromanaging every cell in our body. But there is a deeper intelligence at work that is giving information in an integrated, coordinated way to the whole body. So that's a level that we can address by connecting to our subconscious, since the subconscious is like a filter and a projector for that information. It's guiding the body in how to function. The body is often reflecting some type of pattern or some type of distortion that's there in the subconscious mind. If we look at the idea of stress fueling illness, we can see that stress involves our thoughts and our emotions, and it's also affecting our energy flow It's affecting our breathing, our posture. So in both direct and indirect ways, it's impacting how our body is functioning. So if we want to help things be more balanced and harmonious in our body, we'll need to address anything that's disrupting the balance and harmony of our psyche, of our mental and emotional functioning. Often it's something that's kind of deep in our subconscious, something we might not even be aware of, that we might not even have conscious memory of. There are often patterns that get created or generated either in your childhood, when you're in the womb while your mother's pregnant, or being carried forward from your ancestors, or being carried from what we could call past or parallel lifetimes, other incarnations of your soul, where something has been not resolved, where there's some emotional charge around something, and it's kind of recapitulating itself, replaying itself here in the present in this lifetime. From a soul perspective, that's providing a new opportunity for us to process and release things, to come back into our balance, back into our wholeness. But it's up to us to recognize that and to approach those symptoms or reactions from that understanding. So we have our physical body, but every cell, every atom in our physical body is very much dependent upon and being created by the fields of energy that surround the body, that exist in more subtle layers of vibration. So you have what's visible physically in the visible light spectrum, but you have more of the electromagnetic spectrum beyond that. There's infrared, ultraviolet light. There's all these other frequencies. If you think about hertz, the measure of frequency, we have megahertz, microhertz, gigahertz, terahertz, so many different wavelengths of energy. And those exist even though we might not see or perceive them with our five senses. And then beyond the frequencies that are measured or labeled as part of the electromagnetic spectrum, there are non-physical frequencies, which would include the range of frequencies that reflect our emotions, our thoughts and beliefs, and our spiritual essence, or our soul. So all of that is energy, whether it's physical matter or consciousness. It's all energy in a state of some form of movement or vibration. So we're not just this physical body. We can observe and measure things on the physical level and do things on that level to try to directly change what's happening there. So what you're eating, what medications or herbs you're taking, those are physical things that affect the chemistry in a direct way on that level. But everything ultimately is being guided and governed from the non-physical energy levels. So if we don't shift our emotions, our thoughts and beliefs, if we don't transform on that level, then the changes that we're triggering or generating on the physical level may not last. It might just be a temporary shift in the symptoms, but then those other factors are reasserting their influence, and the physical body goes back into the pattern that it was previously displaying. So we want to consider all those levels to get to whatever might be the deepest causal level or layer of any symptoms that we're experiencing. That's what I'm presenting here as a more holistic view of health. So holistic doesn't mean to only look at a whole set of different alternative remedies. It actually means to consider all levels, the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual levels, how that individual being is functioning on all those levels and interacting with its environment. I hope that this explanation has given each of you some insight, some things to reflect upon, and hopefully provided some type of a catalyst for you to go further on your personal growth or healing journey, whether that's healing on a physical or psychological or even spiritual level. For now, I'd like to invite you to visit my website where you can find additional resources. The website is phinsights.com, phinsights.com. And I wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.